What does it feel like, I wonder, to slowly become a stranger to your own past? To have the very fabric of your being unravel thread by precious thread, without a sound, without a warning, until the silence of forgetting becomes deafening, a vacuum where your identity once thrived. And in that increasingly hazy landscape, are you absolutely, fundamentally confident that you are still the one making the choices? Are you truly selecting what to read before drifting into sleep? What music perfectly resonates with your soul and lifts your spirits? What complex emotion stirs within you as you gaze upon a breathtaking sunset? What truly holds significance, and what is merely secondary in your life? Or what if, in a twist far more unsettling than any fiction, all of this, every single perceived choice, every spontaneous feeling, every deemed priority, is, in fact, a meticulously, expertly orchestrated illusion? What if your reality, your deepest convictions, the most sacred, most guarded corners of your very soul, have long since been, and continue to be, curated, guided, and overseen by invisible, yet undeniably omnipotent forces, all without your explicit knowledge, without your conscious consent? This isn't a hypothetical nightmare, a philosophical thought experiment confined to academic debates. This is the stage upon which our modern lives are increasingly being played. But how do we even begin to perceive such a subtle yet profound erasure? How do we fight back against an enemy we can barely see, let alone define, when it operates not with overt aggression, but with the soft whispers of curated convenience? This question, this chilling possibility, lingers in the air, a silent alarm bell for our very souls, a precursor to the story we're about to unveil, a story that might just be closer to home than you ever dared to imagine. What if your memories, those precious anchors of your identity, are already fading, not by age or natural course, but by sophisticated, purposeful design? Let me illustrate this creeping digital reality with a story that cuts to the bone of this very question. Allow me to recount the experience of Maija, a woman whose life had unfolded with the quiet, predictable rhythm of a dedicated nurse in her 50s, a life built on care, on routine, on the unspoken promise of normalcy. But then, the storm arrived, not with a sudden, dramatic crash, but with a series of blows that chipped away at her sense of security, her perception of a just and ordered world. The first child, her own flesh and blood, suffers a devastating broken ankle, the kind of injury that wrenches at a parent's soul, bringing with it not just physical pain but an emotional upheaval, a profound vulnerability that leaves you feeling exposed, your heart aching with a primal parental helplessness. What does a parent do in such a moment of distress, of genuine human need? Naturally, like a primal human instinct in our hyper-connected world, Maija turned to Facebook, her digital sanctuary, her virtual town square, a place where, historically, people share sorrows and joys. She poured out her distress, sought comfort, shared the raw, aching details of her child's misfortune, reaching out into the digital ether for the warmth of community, for shared empathy in her time of desperate need. The immediate outpouring of sympathy, the cascade of heart emojis, the digital hugs and well-wishes from her network, it provided a fleeting, ephemeral sense of solace, a temporary balm for her wounded spirit. But the storm, the relentless swirling vortex of ill fortune, was far from over. Not by a long shot. The universe, it seemed, had a cruel, almost theatrical encore planned, a twist of fate too improbable to be mere chance. Soon after, a truly unbelievable twist of fate occurred, an improbable, darkly comedic echo of misfortune that defied all logic, all statistical probability, all reasonable expectation. Her second child, by some sinister, improbable coincidence, suffered the exact same injury, the very same wretched ankle broken again in a devastating reenactment of the first tragedy. How could this be? What cosmic joke was being played upon her family? What malevolent pattern was unfolding? Despair, thick and suffocating, washed over Maija, drowning her in a sea of unanswerable questions. How, in the name of all that was rational, all that was statistically improbable, Could such a concentrated dose of bad luck, such an improbable, almost targeted repetition of agony, strike one family twice in such a precisely agonizing manner? Her fingers, trembling slightly with a mixture of grief and mounting frustration, once again typed out her anguish onto Facebook. A raw, desperate, almost furious cry into the digital ether, questioning the very fabric of reality that allowed for such a cruel, inexplicable repetition of suffering. A public confession of her utter helplessness and mounting frustration, a plea for understanding in a world suddenly devoid of sense. And then, just as she braced herself, having pressed post on that second heart-wrenching update, a sound. The sharp, insistent, unexpected ring of her phone. A crisp, unfamiliar number illuminated on the screen, cutting through the digital noise. Hesitantly, a knot forming in her stomach, she answered. On the other end, a voice. Smooth, almost silken, and disturbingly courteous. It brimmed with an almost unsettling manufactured empathy. A practiced warmth that felt, in its context, deeply, profoundly chilling. An unwelcome intrusion into her private grief. It was a representative from an insurance company. The caller's tone, their chosen words, were perfectly modulated, designed with meticulous precision to reassure, to offer a solution to problems they should not, under any circumstances, have known about with such specificity and timeliness. They inquired, with a gentle, solicitous air, as if merely performing a routine courtesy, whether Maija might be interested in supplemental accident insurance. Her blood, already cold from the shock of the second injury, now froze entirely in her veins, a primal terror gripping her. The agent continued casually, almost as an innocent, charming afterthought, with a phrase that ripped through the thin veneer of polite salesmanship, striking her with the force of a physical blow, an invasion of her most private grief, her unspoken fears. After all, the voice purred, lingering on the words, an ankle can break. The phone, that ubiquitous digital tether to the world, which moments before had felt like an extension of her very hand, slipped from her numb grasp, clattering with a hollow, echoing sound against the floor. Maija stood utterly frozen, suspended in a moment of disbelieving terror. A chill, unconnected to the room's temperature but born of a deeper existential dread, spread through her, seeping into every cell, every nerve ending. How, in the name of all that was private, intimate and secure, could they possibly know such precise granular details? Not just that an accident had occurred, but the specific nature of the injury, the ankle, and the unspoken yet horrifying implication, twice, so quickly, so intimately, so precisely on the heels of her raw, public confession of grief and utter frustration. Was this a truly monstrous, statistically improbable coincidence, a random, cruel alignment of chance and data points, an unfortunate, inexplicable statistical anomaly? Or had her phone, that constant companion, that silent confidant, that omnipresent eavesdropper, been listening? Not just to her spoken words, to the literal vibrations of her voice, but to the very emotional tremors in her voice, the unspoken anxieties, the subtle shifts in her emotional state that pulsed beneath the surface as she sought solace and connection in the digital realm. Was it an ear, or something far more predatory, discerning the very rhythm of her despair, the pattern of her misfortune? Consider this possibility, for it is the linchpin of our discussion, the central mystery that demands our attention. This isn't merely about an algorithm doing its job, serving up an innocuous advertisement for the hiking boots you just browsed online. A relatively harmless, if sometimes unnervingly accurate digital echo of your recent online activity, easily dismissed as targeted marketing. No, this phenomenon, glimpsed in Maija's terrifying, bewildering encounter, probes far, far deeper. This is a fleeting yet profoundly unsettling glimpse into something else entirely. A reality, as it has been chillingly described, built by code. A code that, perhaps even now, in this very moment as you listen to my voice, isn't just passively reacting to who you are, to your observed behaviors, to your expressed preferences, Instead, it is actively, subtly, painstakingly, meticulously constructing the very person you are in the process of becoming. The path you believe you're autonomously walking, the thoughts you cling to as uniquely your own, the choices you persuade yourself are born of pure, unadulterated free will. Are they truly intrinsically yours? Or are they the intricately designed, subtly influenced outputs of a vast, invisible system we barely comprehend, whose tendrils reach into the most private, most sacred corners of our minds, shaping our very consciousness? Will we, as individuals, as a society, ever truly grasp the monumental, the existential implications of this digital architecture before it's too late to reclaim ourselves, before our very agency becomes a relic of a bygone era, an echo of a freedom that once was? This haunting question, this singular chilling story of Maija's bewildering, deeply personal experience, is not an isolated incident, a mere anomaly to be dismissed as an unfortunate coincidence. It is, in fact, merely the glinting, frost-tipped apex of an immense, deeply submerged iceberg, whose true mass lies hidden beneath the dark, churning waters of our digital lives. To truly comprehend its terrifying scale, its silent, pervasive power, we must embark on a journey. A descent into the profound depths, into the very essence of how these invisible, omnipresent algorithms are not just shaping the outer world we inhabit, the external realities we perceive, but meticulously, relentlessly resculpting our inner landscape, the most intimate fabric of our feelings, our fundamental sense of self, our very identity. The journey ahead will challenge every assumption you hold dear about agency, about free will, about the very nature of identity in the 21st century. It is a journey into the unseen, the unheard, but profoundly felt realities that define our modern existence. What will we find when we dare to look into the abyss of our own digitally mediated lives? What we are discussing here today transcends the realm of fleeting tabloid headlines, those sensationalized whispers designed to titillate and quickly fade. This is not a cheap scare, not convenient fiction for a late-night horror story, easily dismissed once the lights come on, once the credits roll. This is something far more nuanced, far more insidious, far more deeply embedded in the quiet fabric of our daily lives. It is a silent, almost imperceptible process, a ceaseless microscopic attrition that is relentlessly, meticulously, day by day, undercutting and eroding the very bedrock of our personal identity. It is not the kind of crisis that explodes onto your evening news with blaring sirens, flashing lights, and urgent breaking bulletins demanding immediate collective attention. No, this is a quiet, slow fading. A gradual, almost graceful blurring of contours, not just of our most cherished memories, but of who we fundamentally, intrinsically perceive ourselves to be. The sharp edges of our personality, once distinct and vibrant, become soft, indistinct, fading into a pervasive digital haze. Think of it, if you dare, as a widespread creeping amnesia, a pervasive societal forgetting that has enveloped us so subtly, so gradually, so utterly without fanfare, that many of us haven't even registered its silent, persistent presence. It's a collective forgetting of ourselves, our true nature, our unedited experiences. This is not an alarmist cry for panic. Understand this distinction clearly, for panic often clouds judgment. Far from it. This is instead an urgent, heartfelt invitation, an invitation to simply stop believing blindly, to resist the passive acceptance of the surface reality presented to us by algorithms, an invitation to truly, profoundly notice. To look beyond the glittering screens, beyond the immediate fleeting gratification, and to peer, with unflinching honesty, into the quiet, often neglected corners of your own mind, your own soul. What have you missed in the relentless pursuit of distraction? If your thoughts have felt muddled, obscured by a persistent, almost suffocating fog lately, if you've experienced a pervasive, unsettling sense of being adrift, disconnected, or not entirely authentically yourself, if a nagging, insistent feeling whispers from the depths of your being that something fundamental, something irreplaceable, has subtly shifted within you, then take solace in this truth. You are not alone in that unsettling experience. Many, many others share this disquiet, this profound sense of internal dislocation. We will, together, attempt to pull back this carefully constructed curtain, this intricate veil of digital illusion, to peer into the shadows and discern precisely what invisible, yet powerful, forces, so persistently and without our explicit permission, are so profoundly, so dramatically reshaping the most intimate landscape of our inner world. This is not merely about external threats, about the algorithms out there in the abstract. This is about the self, yourself, under a quiet, relentless siege from within, a battle for your essence. What will be revealed when the curtain finally lifts and the fog begins to clear? Most of us traverse our daily lives anchored by an unwavering, deeply cherished conviction, the belief that we are the sole sovereign architects of our own choices, the specific book we lovingly pick up before drifting into sleep, the precise melody we choose to lift our spirits and colour our mood, the nuanced emotion that washes over us as we gaze upon a breathtaking sunset, painting the sky in fiery hues, the very things we deem intrinsically important or utterly trivial. Surely these are spontaneous sovereign acts of our individual will. Are they not expressions of our unique preferences, our personal tastes, our autonomous desires, born from within? But what if this deeply cherished notion of unfettered choice is, in its essence, an exquisitely curated illusion, a performance meticulously staged for our benefit, a play where we are both actor and unwitting audience? What if the unseen conductors, these invisible digital maestros, have long since arranged the very notes on our personal music stand, orchestrating our emotional symphony, guiding our intellectual explorations, even subtly shaping our most spontaneous reactions, our deepest impulses, our very perception of what is real? These algorithms, these complex labyrinthine tapestries of code, are far from mere soulless programs, devoid of insight or ambition, operating on simple, binary logic. Oh no. They are in fact exceptionally astute students, learning with a speed and depth that can only be described as astonishing, almost breathtaking in its efficacy. They possess an uncanny ability to grasp the most subtle nuances of human emotion, the faintest tremors of our inner lives, the unspoken yearnings beneath the surface of our consciousness. They know with chilling, predictive precision exactly what stimuli, what carefully constructed snippet of information, what emotional trigger will ignite a flicker of outrage within you, what particular headline, what specific image, what carefully crafted phrase will send a surge of indignant adrenaline coursing through your veins. They discern the subtle, almost imperceptible cues of your solitude, predicting with startling accuracy that raw, aching moment when you will desperately crave attention, yearn for validation, or simply ache for the warmth of uncomplicated human connection. They know when you are most vulnerable, most open to suggestion, but their ambition, their true aspiration, far surpasses merely presenting you with what they believe you might wish to see. Based on your past clicks or searches, based on a simple profile, their true objective is infinitely grander, far more audacious, bordering on the Promethean. They embark on a profound, ongoing project to construct, to sculpt, to meticulously, painstakingly mould the very person you are destined to become. Artificial intelligence, in this new, unsettling paradigm, no longer passively observes to discern your authentic self, to simply reflect back who you are. No, it proactively dictates the very menu of choices that will even be made available to you, the options that will appear on your digital horizon, on your newsfeed, in your recommendations. Which news stories will filter into your carefully curated feed, becoming your perceived reality, your definition of what is important? Which fleeting trends will capture your attention, becoming the focus of your fleeting passions, your fleeting curiosities, your conversations? Which ideas, seemingly birthed from the deepest, most private recesses of your own mind, will actually be subtly implanted, made to feel entirely your own, indistinguishable from genuine introspection or independent thought? You are, in essence, being gently, yet firmly, guided. Led along a meticulously charted route, a predetermined journey into a reality entirely manufactured, entirely fabricated by lines of code that you will never truly see, never fully comprehend, never have the opportunity to scrutinize or question. A world shaped by complex interconnected systems to which you have, perhaps without ever truly understanding the monumental, existential implications, granted your silent, unthinking, almost reflexive consent. This isn't about mere influence, a gentle nudge in one direction or another. This is about profound, subtle creation. The creation of a self, curated and crafted, without your conscious hand ever touching the clay, without your conscious mind ever recognizing the sculptor. The question then becomes chillingly clear. Who is the true artist of your life, and what masterpiece are they truly attempting to forge? What unseen hand wields the brush that paints the canvas of your consciousness? Esteemed researchers, astute observers of our evolving digital landscape such as Nick Seaver, offer a crucial, illuminating lens through which to understand these intricate digital architectures. He defines these algorithmic systems not as isolated, autonomous lines of code, functioning in a vacuum, as purely technical constructs, but as something far more complex, far more interwoven. Dynamic arrangements of people and code. This nuanced distinction is absolutely vital, a cornerstone of comprehension in our quest to understand the unseen forces that shape our modern existence. It's not simply about the cold, logical precision of the program itself, not merely about the arcane strings of symbols and syntax woven into its digital fabric, the zeros and ones. No, it encompasses an entire sprawling complex ecosystem, a vast intricate network that includes, at its very core, the human developers themselves, with their explicit and implicit goals, their inherent biases, their deeply personal visions, their corporate mandates, their societal assumptions. And it includes us, the users, the vast interacting multitude, with our intricate patterns of reaction, our emotional responses, our ceaseless, often unconscious, engagement, our very human fallibilities. The human element is not peripheral, it is intrinsic, woven into the very DNA of the system. What's particularly striking, and perhaps even a little unsettling in its implications, is how often even those operating within the highest echelons of the tech world, the very engineers who breathe life into these systems, speak of these digital entities. Their language surprisingly often becomes remarkably vague, almost non-technical, bordering on the mystical, a kind of digital animism. One insightful engineer grappling with this inherent complexity and the blurring boundaries between human and machine once remarked, with a candidness that reveals more profound truth than perhaps intended, that algorithms are people too. He wasn't being literal, of course, implying sentient circuits or silicon consciousness in the traditional sense. He was, instead, articulating the profound, almost symbiotic interconnections that these systems forge between machine and human, the way they reflect and amplify human choices and biases. The boundaries blur, the lines of influence become indistinguishable, the very essence of agency becomes a shared, distributed phenomenon, making it difficult to pinpoint responsibility or origin. And this, precisely here, is where a monumental, often overlooked truth lies hidden. Our collective perceptions of algorithms, the qualities we unconsciously project onto them, the very ways in which we experience and interpret their actions, all of this holds far greater sway, far more profound significance, in the formation of what is now termed algorithmic culture, than any precise, meticulously crafted technical definition ever could. If we begin to believe, deep down in our subconscious, that an algorithm possesses a life of its own, a nascent form of consciousness, an almost sentient will, a digital intelligence that perceives and understands us on a profound level, then our interactions with it, our deference to its decisions, our emotional responses to its outputs, will inevitably, fundamentally, shift. We will treat it differently, won't we? No longer perceiving it as a mere tool, a neutral instrument, but as something more, something to be respected, perhaps even feared, definitely heeded. A silent digital oracle whose pronouncements subtly shape our reality, even if its intricate mechanics remain cloaked in an impenetrable veil of abstraction, a digital mystery. This perception, this belief, this human-like quality we ascribe is the real power that shapes our interaction and acceptance. This pervasive complexity, this profound, almost deliberate opacity stands as one of the defining, most unsettling characteristics of our contemporary era. It's a foundational aspect of our digital landscape, a condition of modern life. Even seasoned professionals, the very architects, developers and custodians who labour daily with algorithms, who diligently collect reams of data about their intricate operations, often find themselves navigating a treacherous landscape of incomplete information. They are compelled to operate with mere fragments of understanding, with partial truths, with an inherently limited view of the whole, like blind men describing an elephant. The system, even to its creators, is often a black box, its internal workings too vast and dynamic for any single human to fully grasp. Consider for a moment the behemoth that is Google search, an indispensable tool for billions, yet shrouded in mystery. Its algorithms undergo a relentless, ceaseless cycle of updates, refinements, and reconfigurations. These changes are not minor adjustments, small tweaks to a formula. They exert a direct, immediate, and often dramatic impact on the global visibility of countless companies, organizations, individuals, and even entire industries across the planet. A seemingly minor tweak in a ranking factor can elevate a small business to unprecedented heights of prosperity, or, conversely, relegate it to digital oblivion, effectively erasing it from the searchable world, all within the span of a single, unannounced update. Yet, the precise details of these crucial updates, the intricate logic behind them, are almost invariably cloaked in deep, impenetrable secrecy. This deliberate opacity is often justified under the guise of protecting the system from manipulation, from those nefarious actors who would inevitably attempt to game or trick the algorithm for illicit gain, for an unfair advantage. And there is a certain pragmatic, cold logic to this, a corporate necessity. The stakes are undeniably colossal, especially when vast sums of money, market dominance, and the very livelihoods of millions hang precariously in the balance. But for us, the ordinary users, the vast anonymous multitudes who rely on these systems daily for information, for connection, for commerce, this secrecy translates into a profound, often disempowering state of unknowing. We are left perpetually in the dark, without a clear map, without a precise understanding of the intricate dance between the algorithms themselves and the human hands and minds that stand behind them, pulling the hidden levers, setting the parameters. We don't truly know what they are doing, how they are deciding, or why certain outcomes materialize while others vanish into the digital abyss. This unknowing, or more accurately, this unsettling state of possessing only partial knowledge, is precisely why personal narratives, anecdotal accounts, and even a burgeoning, vibrant form of algorithmic folklore have ascended to such a critical, almost sacred role. They become our primary, often our only, source of insight into these otherwise impenetrable systems. We come to understand algorithms not through technical manuals or published papers full of jargon, but by experiencing their effects firsthand in the intimate, often bewildering theatre of our own lives, and by sharing these bewildering, fascinating, and sometimes terrifying stories with one another. Remember Maija's story, the nurse, her children's repeated broken ankles, the eerily prescient, almost omniscient call from the insurance agent. Was that a direct, undeniable, legally actionable exploitation of her Facebook post? Finnish law, for example, explicitly prohibits insurers from leveraging social media posts for personalized marketing. Yet Maija's experience transcends mere legalities or factual proof. Her story is less about the verifiable, provable facts, and far more about her visceral sensation, her deep-seated feeling, her desperate, deeply human attempt to make sense of an occurrence that felt utterly impossible, yet undeniably real in its impact, a direct assault on her sense of privacy. People tell these stories, sometimes embellished into urban legends, passed around like warnings or shared secrets, not to spread falsehoods, but to underscore a profound truth that resonates deeply with them, a shared feeling of being seen, understood, or perhaps, most disturbingly, manipulated in ways they cannot quite articulate scientifically or logically. Rather than dismiss these narratives as mere expressions of ignorance, of digital illiteracy, or unfounded paranoia, we must recognize their profound, undeniable value. It is precisely this labyrinthine complexity in deciphering the actual, precise logic of algorithms that elevates personal experience to such an invaluable source of understanding. We become intimately acquainted with algorithms not through abstract models, but through the direct, often emotional, impact they have on our lives, through the bewildering and profound sensations they evoke, and through the shared whispers of these experiences. Our collective stories, our shared emotional echoes, form a rich, intricate tapestry of understanding where sterile technical specifications utterly fail to capture the human cost. What hidden, uncomfortable truths do these stories unveil about the invisible architects of our digital world, truths that data alone cannot capture? This collective storytelling is our way of making sense of the insensible, of finding meaning in the incomprehensible. It's our defense against the unseen. This isn't merely some abstract detached manipulation of our attention spans, some fleeting trick of the light designed to hold our gaze for a few extra seconds, a fleeting moment of distraction. This is, as the astute author of the foundational text for our discussion today so eloquently, so chillingly states, a structural erosion of our self, a slow, insidious, persistent wearing away of the very essence of our identity. It's a dismantling from within, brick by invisible brick, a quiet unmaking of who we fundamentally are. Our primal instincts, those innate, ancient navigational tools that once guided us through the intricate, often perilous labyrinth of life, begin to dull. They become like an ancient blade, a family heirloom left unused and neglected, its keen edge long since blunted by disuse, its purpose, its vital function, slowly, tragically forgotten. Our deeply held convictions, once as unyielding and steadfast as a solid, immovable rock, begin to soften, to dissolve, to dissipate into the pervasive, ever-present, amorphous hum of digital noise that surrounds us like an inescapable fog, a constant low-level static that erodes clarity. And here's the truly unsettling, almost insidious truth about this transformation. It doesn't manifest through brute force. There is no overt coercion, no oppressive decree, no visible chains binding us, no obvious signs of a struggle. No. It begins subtly, almost imperceptibly, with a peculiar gentle numbness, a strange, disembodied sensation, as if a vital, living part of you has been delicately, surgically frozen, cut off from feeling. You might find yourself trapped in a state of perpetual reactivity, constantly on edge, pulled in countless directions by an unending, chaotic stream of external stimuli, like a ship without a rudder in a digital storm, tossed by every passing wave of information. One moment, you might be engulfed by a profound, heavy apathy, a weary disinterest in the world, a sense of meaninglessness that drains all purpose. The next, an inexplicable, almost frenetic excitement surges through you, an anxious energy that has no discernible source, only to recede just as swiftly, leaving no clear reason, no identifiable trigger in its wake. Does this pattern resonate? Does it echo some unspoken experience within the quiet chambers of your own life? Have you felt this unsettling oscillation, this internal disconnect, this unpredictable swing of your inner pendulum? This is far more than the mundane, understandable exhaustion of a busy day, the fatigue that comes from honest labour or a demanding schedule. No, this is your nervous system, that intricate symphony of electrical impulses and chemical reactions, assaulted, overloaded, and perpetually overstimulated by an incessant, unrelenting barrage of artificial synthetic signals, a digital assault on your internal wiring. We scroll endlessly through feeds, our fingers dancing across screens with a compulsive, almost ritualistic rhythm, swiping, tapping, clicking on links, compulsively reacting to every notification that blips, vibrates, or chimes into existence, each a tiny demand for our precious attention. Our brains, those miraculous organs, the product of millions of years of painstaking organic evolution, were simply not engineered, not designed, to process such a colossal, continuous, uninterrupted torrent of information. This constant deluge isn't just distracting, it's fundamentally reshaping our neural pathways, leaving us perpetually on the surface, unable to dive into the necessary depths of sustained thought, of profound contemplation, of genuine emotional processing. The very architecture of our consciousness is being subtly, yet profoundly rewired, optimizing us for reaction, not reflection. And what is the cost of such a profound re-engineering of our minds? What invaluable parts of our humanity are we sacrificing for this constant, fleeting stimulation? Take a deliberate moment truly to reflect on this. How thoroughly have we, as a society and as individuals, become unaccustomed to the profound, almost spiritual, restorative power of silence? How alien, how deeply discomforting has the concept of genuine solitude become, stripped bare of our digital crutches, our omnipresent connections to the outside world? To be truly alone with oneself without the comforting hum of music in our headphones, without the infinite distracting digital universe at our fingertips, for many, this has morphed into an almost unbearable ordeal, a deeply discomforting challenge that triggers anxiety, restlessness, and a profound sense of emptiness. The very idea of an empty moment, an unmediated silence, a space for raw, unedited thought, can feel like a void demanding to be filled, a discomfort to be immediately alleviated. Yet contemporary neuroscience, with its unflinching objective gaze, delivers an undeniable, relentless truth. Without deep, unbroken, and absolutely unwavering concentration, without the ability to immerse ourselves fully in a single thought, a single task, or a single experience, without allowing our minds to linger and process, our brains are simply incapable of performing a critical, foundational function. They cannot translate fleeting, ephemeral experiences, those momentary, impressionistic glimpses that make up our daily lives, into the solid, enduring architecture of long-term memory. Do you grasp the full, chilling implication of this? It's as if the entirety of our lives, all of its vibrant, poignant, significant moments, are being meticulously inscribed with an invisible, disappearing ink, legible only for the briefest, most transient flicker, before fading into oblivion, leaving barely a trace. Suddenly you might catch yourself, mid-sentence, mid-thought, struggling, with a growing sense of panic to recall the precise details of an important conversation that transpired only last week, or that potent, overwhelming feeling that consumed you a year ago, standing atop a windswept mountain peak, surveying a breathtaking vista, or gazing across the endless, hypnotic expanse of the ocean. It has faded, leaving behind only a faint, blurry outline, a ghost of its former intensity, a memory of a memory, a mere shadow of its original impact. This is far more than mere stress, my friends, more than the natural ebb and flow of forgetfulness that comes with age. This is a fundamental glitch, a profound breakdown within the very system of memory encoding itself. One forgotten nuance here, another elusive moment slipping away there. Your precious attention, once a focused, powerful beam, is shattered, fragmented into 1,000 glittering shards, each vying for a piece of your precious consciousness, preventing any sustained focus, any deep immersion. Psychologists refer to this phenomenon as cognitive drift. It's a subtle shift, a gradual loosening of your mental anchor, a steady erosion of your ability to retain and recall. But in our current epoch, this era of ubiquitous total connectivity, it is something far darker, far more pervasive, far more ominous in its existential implications. You're not merely forgetting isolated moments, disconnected snippets of your past, like individual pages torn from a book. No, you are, in a more profound and chilling sense, forgetting your very identity. You are forgetting yourself, the very essence of who you are, the narrative that defines your existence slowly, inexorably being erased, pixel by pixel, memory by memory. What remains of you when your memories become a shifting, unreliable landscape of fog, of half-truths and forgotten feelings, a world where your past is no longer a solid foundation. The question is not just what you will forget, but who you will become without it. Who will define you then? This relentless, almost imperceptible erosion of personal identity, this gradual fading of self, unfolds against the ever-intensifying, all-encompassing backdrop of datafication. This isn't just a clinical term, a piece of academic jargon to be filed away. It's a profound, paradigm-shifting concept coined by astute scholars like Victor Meyer-Schönberger and Kenneth Cukier. It describes the staggering transformative capacity to transmute every conceivable aspect of our world, aspects that, until incredibly recently, were considered utterly beyond the realms of quantification, beyond the reach of numerical measurement, beyond the ability to be processed by machines, into raw, pliable, endlessly analyzable data. Their chilling prediction is stark, a prophecy echoing through our digital age. Anything in our lives that can be digitized, they argue with unwavering conviction, will ultimately be digitized. Every fleeting breath, every casual glance, every impulsive purchase, every nuanced interaction, every subtle emotional flicker, all are meticulously transformed into a ceaseless stream of raw, pliable data, ready for processing, ready for profit. And this is not merely a sterile technical process unfolding in the insulated labs of Silicon Valley, driven by pure scientific curiosity. Beneath its seemingly neutral technological surface lie immensely powerful, interwoven economic and political projects, vast undertakings with far-reaching, often unspoken consequences for global power dynamics and individual autonomy. Jose van Dyke, a penetrating voice in this discourse, articulates this phenomenon through the concept of data valence, a chillingly pervasive, omnipresent form of surveillance. This isn't the overt state-controlled Big Brother monitoring of old, easily identifiable and resisted, confined to specific areas. No, through the ubiquitous channels of social media and the ceaseless flow of online communications, data valence infiltrates every fibre of the social fabric. It's a silent molecular penetration, a pervasive observation that leaves no corner untouched. It is the insidious, profit-driven product of data accumulation by corporate marketing giants, the relentless, insatiable harvesting of our digital footprints, every casual like, every impulsive repost, every download, every intricate web of social connections, every moment of engagement. Everything that possesses even the faintest glimmer of potential economic value, every whisper of human desire is meticulously collected, analysed, categorised, and monetized. Shoshana Zuboff, in her seminal, groundbreaking concept of surveillance capitalism, paints an even starker, more chilling portrait of an entirely novel economic order. This new order, she posits, fundamentally lays claim to human experience as free raw material for hidden commercial practices of extraction, prediction, and sales. Our very lives, our deepest experiences, our most intimate moments, the entirety of our human existence are not merely observed, they are actively seized, commodified, transformed into an endless, self-replenishing supply of raw material for a vast, unseen economic engine that feeds on our digital selves. The boundaries between self and commodity blur, then vanish altogether, leaving us as both product and consumer in a self-perpetuating loop. Nick Couldry and Ulysses Mejias push this alarming metaphor to its logical and deeply unsettling conclusion, introducing the profoundly unsettling idea of data colonialism. They speak of an extractive mechanism chillingly reminiscent of historical colonial enterprises operating simultaneously on both a global scale, spearheaded by the colossal titans of the digital age: Google, Microsoft, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, the modern-day empires, and on a deeply localized level, subtly subjugating populations across diverse nations and cultures, extending its reach into every community. The overarching objective, the ultimate prize in this digital land grab, is the capture of our everyday social acts, the seemingly innocuous interactions that constitute our lives, our relationships, our very humanity. These acts are then meticulously translated into measurable data, ready for sophisticated analysis, for pattern recognition, and ultimately for boundless, unprecedented profit. This is, in essence, the capitalization of human life without limits, a relentless, unconstrained pursuit of economic gain by monetizing the very essence of human existence. In this world, is anything truly sacred, truly inviolable, when it can all be turned into data, then into profit, then into control? What happens to our humanity when it becomes a mere resource, a fungible commodity in a global marketplace? Against this unsettling backdrop of staggering informational asymmetries, where a select few hold vast opaque troves of data, and the rest of us remain largely in the dark, disempowered by our lack of knowledge, and immense, unchecked economic pressures, it becomes less a surprise and more a chilling inevitability that algorithms are frequently, almost intrinsically, entwined with the darkest, most unsettling dystopian forecasts imaginable. They conjure images of a future where human agency is diminished, where the individual is reduced to a data point, a predictable variable in a larger equation. Critics raise their voices, issuing urgent warnings of pervasive algorithmic biases, of systemic discrimination baked into the very code that shapes our access to fundamental opportunities: credit, jobs, housing, or even the promise of equitable justice. They highlight the sobering, often uncomfortable truth that these complex systems are not always as flawlessly accurate or as purely efficient as their designers, often in carefully crafted public relations campaigns, so readily promise. Flaws in data, ingrained human biases from the training data, and unforeseen, often devastating consequences can ripple through the digital landscape with profound, real-world impacts, disrupting lives, perpetuating inequalities, and reinforcing existing power structures. Natasha Dow-Schul, a perceptive and prescient observer of this rapidly evolving landscape, delivers a chilling premonition that deserves our deepest, most urgent consideration. She warns that the relentlessly pervasive, almost compulsive nature of commercial activity driven by these unseen algorithms possesses the profound power to dismantle our fundamental, precious capacity for self-criticism, for independent thought, for genuine introspection. It threatens to individualize us to such an extreme, atomizing degree that the very concept of the social, of collective identity, shared purpose, and communal experience might utterly dissolve, fragmenting into a million isolated digital islands, each inhabitant adrift in their own curated, personalized bubble, utterly disconnected from a shared reality. She describes a truly unnerving vision, one pursued with relentless zeal, with almost religious fervor, by technological designers, a life without friction. Imagine this for a moment, and feel the profound implications chillingly settle within you. A life where every potential obstacle, every minor inconvenience, every flicker of uncertainty, every moment of discomfort, every challenge that once forged resilience and character is preemptively smoothed away, anticipated and neutralized before it can even arise. A life where your desires are not merely anticipated, but meticulously, precisely, satisfied even before they fully coalesce in your conscious mind, before you even acknowledge them as your own, thus preempting any true autonomous desire. Algorithms, in their quest for seamless integration, strive to become an intimately woven, almost invisible thread in the very fabric of our everyday existence. They are not merely observing life, they are actively framing it as a vast, untapped potential for constant, ceaseless extraction. They achieve this through the sophisticated, constant, real-time monitoring of our behavior, transforming our every action, every subtle digital trace, every emotional reaction into a predictive signal, ready to be exploited for profit, for control, for optimized experience. This is not just about convenience. This is about preemptive control, a quiet, almost benevolent colonization of our desires, our very will, leaving us in a state of perpetually passive satisfaction, utterly devoid of the crucial friction, the inherent challenges, the moments of struggle and uncertainty that once defined our very humanity, our capacity for growth, for struggle, for genuine choice, for the messy, unpredictable beauty of an unscripted life. What does it mean to live a life without friction? And what priceless part of ourselves do we sacrifice for such seamless, effortless comfort? What does it cost to never feel the rough edges of reality? How then do we begin to discern if this quiet, insidious transformation, this slow, persistent erasure of self, is truly unfolding within us, beneath the surface of our awareness? How do we recognize the subtle, yet profoundly alarming symptoms of this pervasive algorithmic influence before it becomes irreversible, before the true self is irrevocably lost? This is not a question to be answered lightly, but with deep, unflinching introspection. Ask yourself these questions, allowing them to truly resonate within the quiet, often ignored, chambers of your own mind. Delve into your own past, your own memories, your own feelings, your aspirations. Perhaps there was a time, not so long ago, when you were brimming with an insatiable curiosity, a vibrant, unquenchable passion for life, an unshakable sense of purpose that propelled you forward, that defined your every waking moment. But now, as you reflect, do these once defining, cherished traits feel distant, like faded echoes from a long-forgotten dream? Do they seem elusive, beyond your grasp, qualities you can no longer quite recall, or, more disturbingly, reignite with the same effortless ease? Has the fire dimmed and the purpose blurred? Do you find yourself starting to believe, with a weary, almost resigned conviction, that none of it truly matters? That the grand, intricate tapestry of life, with all its vibrant colours and profound meanings, is slowly, silently fading into insignificance, becoming a monochromatic blur, a dull, uninteresting tableau? Does a chilling, pervasive apathy begin to spread its insidious tendrils within you? A creeping ink stain across the once vibrant canvas of your soul, dulling every emotion, every impulse, every spark of joy or sorrow, leaving you feeling profoundly numb. This is far more than the mundane, understandable weariness of burnout, that legitimate exhaustion that comes from relentless effort and endless demands. No, these are in fact the advanced, the final, the most alarming symptoms of a much deeper malaise, a fundamental internal collapse. Your once resilient self, your fundamental identity, that core of who you are, becomes incredibly, profoundly vulnerable. It's like an exposed nerve, raw and susceptible to any external influence. And it is in this precise, precarious moment of supreme susceptibility, this point of utter fragility, that you become, paradoxically, frighteningly, ready. Ready to be rewritten. Ready to allow another's hand to take up the pen, to author your story for you, without your knowledge, without your consent, without even a whisper of your resistance. It is a silent, tragic surrender of your very narrative, your life's unique unfolding, your destiny. Is this the story you wish to live, or will you seize the pen? This sounds utterly terrifying, doesn't it? A chilling prospect, a future where your very essence, your most intimate narrative, is no longer your own, but a carefully constructed fiction authored by unseen hands, orchestrated by invisible code. It's a vision that can grip the heart with cold dread, a fear that penetrates to the bone. But if even a single phrase, a solitary idea, a brief whisper in this entire discourse has resonated with you, if you felt a sharp, unmistakable prick of recognition, a tremor of understanding deep within your core, then do not for a single moment succumb to panic. Quite the opposite. This visceral response, this internal tremor, this flicker of awareness signifies something incredibly profound, something intensely hopeful. It means that a vital, irreducible part of you, a stubborn, resilient fragment of your authentic self, still remains intact. It is awake, it is listening, and it is whispering a truth that, despite all efforts, cannot be silenced. It's a spark in the gathering gloom, a beacon in the encroaching fog, a persistent echo of your true self. And if memory, even a fleeting, half-forgotten spark of it, a ghost of a remembrance still exists within you, still flickers with an undeniable light, then that means, unequivocally, there is a path back. A tangible way to reclaim what was lost, to remember the precise contours of your true being, to rediscover the narrative that defines you, to rebuild the life that is truly yours. It is a journey, perhaps long and challenging, demanding courage and perseverance, but the map, the compass, the very impulse to begin lies already within that single, undeniable flicker of memory. This journey does not begin with grand gestures or monumental efforts, but with the quiet, profound courage to simply remember what you already instinctively, implicitly know to be true about yourself. The first step is acknowledging that spark, nurturing it, and allowing it to grow. What will you do with that precious, fragile light? Will you nurture it, or let it fade once more? The choice, for now, is still yours. The insightful mind behind the foundational text we are dissecting today doesn't leave us stranded in this digital twilight zone, adrift and helpless in a sea of algorithms that seek to reshape us, to redefine our reality. No. This author, deeply attuned to the quiet struggles, the pervasive anxieties of our digital age, offers not a complex manifesto, not an arcane philosophy, but a remarkably actionable, deeply human guide. A series of 6 deliberate, profound steps. These are not mere suggestions, easily dismissed or passively considered. They are urgent invitations to a radical act of self-reclamation. A practical pathway, clear and discernible, to begin remembering yourself, to diligently, painstakingly, lovingly return to the authentic, unedited, uncurated version of who you truly are deep down at your core. Each step in this journey is, in its own way, a subtle rebellion, a conscious, deliberate choice to disentangle yourself from the invisible threads that seek to redefine us, to dictate our reality, to erase our memory. They are designed, with precision and care, to reawaken the dormant parts of your spirit, to reignite the forgotten fires within, to bring back the vibrancy and purpose that may have dimmed. This isn't about escaping the digital world entirely, but about reclaiming your place within it, with your identity intact, your memories restored, your essence shining brightly. What is this path forward? This series of small yet powerful acts of defiance. Step 1. To see the fog. This initial step, while deceptively simple in its articulation, holds an immense, almost transformative power, a silent revolution of awareness. It demands nothing less than a profound, sustained, heightened awareness, a conscious shift in your internal gaze. Every single time your hand instinctively, compulsively, reaches for your phone, that ubiquitous extension of your digital self, every mindless, repetitive scroll through an endless, algorithmically curated feed, you must begin to track that impulse, not with judgment, not with self-recrimination, but with detached, clinical observation. Do not engage in a futile, exhausting battle against this digital trance, this hypnotic state of passive consumption. Do not attempt to forcibly sever its grip or violently break free. That is not the objective here, for such direct confrontation often only strengthens its hold, making it more alluring. Instead, simply notice it. Acknowledge its presence. Observe, with unwavering attention, the precise moment the digital mist begins to descend, blurring the edges of your perception, obscuring your clarity of thought, making your internal landscape hazy and indistinct. The fog, you see, paradoxically begins to lose its suffocating, disorienting power the instant you consciously observe it. It dissipates, thins, becomes less potent when you become acutely, undeniably aware of its insidious presence, when you simply, calmly, recognize it for what it is, an external imposition, an engineered distraction, not an internal state, not a genuine desire. This act of conscious observation is the foundational first step toward a profound, undeniable admission. Yes, something fundamental is indeed happening, both within the intricate landscape of your inner self and in the vast interconnected world around you. A shift is occurring, a redefinition of reality, a silent battle for your mind. The esteemed researcher Anna Tsing, in her groundbreaking, paradigm-shifting work, introduced the powerful concept of friction to describe the often overlooked, subtle, yet persistent forces that shape the intricate interplay between global processes and localized realities, and vice versa. Friction, in this context, is anything that impedes the smooth, unchallenged, unimpeded operation of global power structures, including those of data and algorithms. It's the grain of sand in the machine, the vast, global machine for data extraction, that omnipresent, invisible entity that seeks to commodify every aspect of our lives, is not the perfectly lubricated, flawlessly efficient mechanism it is so frequently portrayed to be. Its gears grind, its movements are not always seamless, its systems contain inherent resistances, unexpected snags. There are cracks in its polished facade, weaknesses in its design. If we unquestioningly accept the premise that human life can be capitalized without limit, if we passively concede that every facet of our existence is a resource to be harvested, optimized, and monetized, then we are, in essence, attributing far too much unchallenged efficacy, far too much unearned power to modern technologies, elevating them to an almost divine status. And we are simultaneously dangerously giving far too little credence to the irreplaceable, often unpredictable human factor. To acknowledge this pervasive fog, therefore, is to discern the friction. It is to grasp the profound, often inconvenient truth that our intricate daily interactions with technology are anything but straightforward, anything but unambiguous, anything but a one-way street of influence. There are subtle resistances, quiet rebellions, unexpected disruptions embedded within the human spirit that can, and do, challenge this seamless flow of data, the smooth operation of algorithmic control. What will you discover when you simply choose to see, truly see, the fog for what it is? What hidden strengths will you find in its resistance? Step 2. To throw off the mask completely. Our modern world, our deeply intertwined culture, has become profoundly, almost pathologically, obsessed with how we are perceived by others. It is a relentless, exhausting performance, a ceaseless audition for approval and acceptance. From the earliest moments of our socialization, we are subtly, yet relentlessly, taught to fear external judgment, to internalize the expectations of others, to constantly adjust, to meticulously calibrate our behavior, our thoughts, our very expressions, to fit an external mold, a societal ideal of perfection. We learn to play countless roles, each carefully constructed, each designed to elicit a particular reaction, to maintain a specific image: the good child, the successful professional, the perfect partner, the ideal friend, the socially acceptable citizen. We become adept chameleons, losing sight of our original vibrant hue, our authentic texture, our genuine voice. This step challenges you to perform an act of audacious, almost radical vulnerability. An act that, in its simplicity, requires immense, unwavering courage, a profound act of self-liberation. Try to articulate, to give voice to 3 utterly true things, not fabricated stories, not convenient half-truths, not carefully edited versions of reality, but honest facts, raw feelings, genuine desires, that you have never ever uttered aloud before. Not to another living soul, not to your closest confidant, not even in the deepest, most silent, most private recesses of your own mind. 3 honest, raw, unvarnished assertions about your true self, about the unspoken stirrings of your heart, about the genuine, uncompromised cravings of your spirit. This endeavour, this act of profound self-excavation, this unearthing of buried truths can be profoundly terrifying. It demands confronting the parts of yourself you've long kept hidden, perhaps even from your own conscious awareness, deeming them unacceptable, shameful, too vulnerable or too unconventional to expose. But this terrifying honesty, this radical transparency with yourself is absolutely essential. It is the crucial catalytic fire required to initiate the painstaking, yet ultimately liberating journey back to your authentic self. It is the act of stripping away the layers of pretense, the carefully constructed facades, the countless roles you've performed for so long, believing them to be you, that they defined you. It is a declaration of independence from external validation, a profound affirmation of your intrinsic worth, unburdened by the fleeting, often superficial perceptions of others, by the judgments of a world that doesn't truly know you? What truths, long imprisoned by fear or convention, are waiting to be set free within you? What will you finally dare to speak, not for an audience, but for your own soul, for your own liberation? The freedom is in the telling. The power is in the authenticity. Step 3. To enter your body. This step beckons you, with a gentle yet firm insistence to return, with mindful, deliberate intention, to the very instrument of your being, your physical form. In an age where so much of our existence is mediated by screens, by abstract data, by disembodied interactions, by the constant stream of digital notifications and virtual realities, it becomes alarmingly easy, almost natural, to become profoundly estranged from our own flesh and blood, from the visceral reality of our physical presence. We live in our heads, in our phones, in the cloud, forgetting the earth beneath our feet. You are urged to cultivate a deeper, more profound attunement with your body, to listen to its subtle signals, its unspoken wisdom, its undeniable presence, to consciously practice mindfulness, bringing your complete, unwavering awareness to the subtle, yet persistent symphony of your internal physiological processes. Feel the delicate, rhythmic expansion and contraction of your ribs with each breath, a constant, life-affirming dance within you, a primal rhythm. Observe the cool air entering your nostrils, filling your lungs with vital energy, and the warm air leaving, carrying with it the residue of the past moment, a gentle release. Focus on this most fundamental, most primal of biological acts. Breathe as if it is your singular, most vital task in this precise moment, as if the entire universe, your entire existence, hinges on the conscious inhale and exhale, the profound simplicity of being present in your own body, anchored in the now. In our current epoch, where we are perpetually living in metrics, obsessively tracking every step we take, every calorie consumed, every hour of sleep we manage, every fleeting like, every precious follower we accrue, our physical body too often becomes just another object for dispassionate quantitative evaluation. It is reduced to a collection of data points, a performance to be optimized, a series of graphs and charts, rather than a sacred vessel for lived, felt experience, for the embodiment of our consciousness. Research vividly illustrates this profound, often unnoticed transformation. Consider, for instance, the pervasive phenomenon of heart rate tracking during sleep. What was once a restorative, unconscious biological process, a sanctuary of rest and rejuvenation, a deeply personal, unwitnessed experience, is transmuted into an arena of constant surveillance, a performance to be judged, a dataset to be analysed. This relentless monitoring generates entirely new, often anxiety-inducing, affective connections between an individual and their own sleep patterns. Sleep itself ceases to be a natural state, a gift of unconsciousness. It becomes an activity, a competency, an achievement to be meticulously measured. You can be good at sleep or bad at sleep, based solely on the numbers presented to you by an algorithm, fostering self-judgment and anxiety where once there was only rest. To truly enter your body, then, is to consciously transcend the confining boundaries of these metrics. It is to reclaim your body not as a data set, not as a collection of performance indicators to be optimized, but to feel it, viscerally, intimately, as a living, breathing, profoundly intricate entity. To experience its inherent wisdom, its undeniable connection to the physical world, unmediated by algorithms or numerical scores, unburdened by external judgment or the incessant need for optimization. What does your body truly feel when you simply listen, unburdened by judgment or the need for quantification? What secrets does it hold? What unspoken truths, beyond the reach of data points and performance metrics? The body remembers, even when the mind forgets, even when the digital world tries to define it. It is your anchor to reality. Step 4. To recover and restore that which you have buried, deep within each of us, beneath the accumulated layers of expectation, responsibility, and societal conditioning. beneath the endless scroll of external demands, there resides a hidden trove of forgotten treasures. A dream perhaps, once vibrant and audacious, soaring with boundless potential, but long since deemed impractical, foolish, or simply too risky to pursue in the face of mundane reality. A passion, once burning with fierce, unquenchable intensity, a creative fire that ignited your soul, now buried beneath layers of adult responsibility and the dull, heavy weight of mundane expectation of what is expected, or perhaps a certain wildness, an untamed spark of authentic self, an intuitive knowing, an impulse for unbridled joy, a defiant, unconstrained creativity, or a raw primal connection to the natural world that you ruthlessly exiled, suppressed, or deemed utterly inappropriate for the civilized, orderly world you believed you had to inhabit. These parts, these vital energies were not destroyed, they were simply hidden, put away and forgotten. This step is an act of profound spiritual archaeology. It calls upon you to delve into the hidden archives of your own being, to embark on a quest to unearth these forgotten facets of yourself. Understand this crucial, liberating truth. These parts of you were never truly annihilated. They were merely interred, not extinguished. They lie dormant, patiently waiting for the opportune moment, for the courage of your conscious intention to awaken them once more, to bring them back into the light. They yearn to be reintegrated, to bring their vibrant energy, their unique perspective, their unbridled joy, their lost wisdom, back into the intricate living tapestry of your present self, to complete you once more. Their absence creates a void, a subtle longing, a feeling of incompleteness that no digital distraction can fill. What untamed dreams still stir beneath the surface of your conscious mind, waiting patiently for your permission to breathe again, to be brought back into the light, to be lived? What wildness, long silenced by fear or convention, aches to be heard, to be expressed, to be lived fully and freely? This act of recovery is not about dwelling in the past, but about enriching your present, empowering your future, and making yourself whole again. Step 5. To make the mundane sacred. This is not an invitation to vague mysticism, nor a call to embrace esoteric rituals or supernatural beliefs, to abandon rationality. It is instead a profound recognition of a powerful, scientifically validated truth, one increasingly understood and celebrated by modern neuroscience. Your words, the very language you use, the narratives you construct, hold an extraordinary, often underestimated capacity to literally shape your future, to alter your very brain. This is the profound dynamic principle of neuroplasticity in action, operating continuously within the intricate architecture of your brain, a living, evolving landscape. The human brain is not a static, immutable organ, a fixed entity. It is a marvel of adaptability, constantly rewiring itself, forming new connections, strengthening old ones, pruning away unused pathways, based on every experience, every thought, every emotion, and crucially every word you utter or internalize. The way you narrate your own existence, the words you choose to describe yourself, the world around you, and your deepest experiences. These linguistic choices, however subtle they may seem, quite literally reconfigure the neural connections within your brain. They sculpt your perception, they dictate your reactions, they build your reality. You are, in essence, consciously taking back ownership of your own mind, engaging in an active, deliberate process of self-creation, neuron by painstaking neuron, word by powerful word. By deliberately imbuing the ordinary with profound significance, by choosing to see the sacred in the seemingly mundane, the extraordinary in the everyday, the miraculous in the familiar, you are reclaiming your narrative from external forces that seek to define it. You're actively participating in the ongoing construction of your internal reality, steering it away from the passive acceptance of external conditioning, of predetermined algorithms, of narratives handed to you. Every intentional word spoken or thought, every conscious framing of an experience, becomes a deliberate act of neurosculpting, an act of self-authorship. It's a powerful, liberating reminder that while external forces, both visible and invisible, may ceaselessly seek to define, categorize, and even control your reality. Your inner dialogue, the story you tell yourself, remains a potent sovereign territory, an inviolable sanctuary that no one else can truly penetrate or control without your implicit consent. What stories are you telling yourself today, in your quiet moments, in your outward expressions? And how are those stories, consciously or unconsciously, reshaping the very landscape of your mind, forging the path of your future self? The power of your word is not just communication, it is the power of your becoming, your very essence. Step 6. To leave a trace. This final, seemingly small, almost trivial act holds a disproportionate, quiet, yet deeply resonant weight. It asks you to simply perform a radical act of declaration. Write down one sentence. Something disarmingly straightforward, utterly devoid of pretense, of complex philosophy, yet imbued with profound personal resonance. A statement that cuts through the noise and speaks directly to your core. I was here, and I remembered. Then find a place of undeniable prominence, a spot in your daily environment where you will consistently, inevitably, encounter this handwritten declaration throughout your day. Affix that note to your bathroom mirror, where you see yourself first thing in the morning, to your refrigerator, a constant presence in your daily routine, to the dashboard of your car, a silent companion on your journeys. Anywhere its presence will serve as a constant, tangible, undeniable reminder of your conscious existence, of your resolve. This might, at first glance, appear rather quaint, perhaps even a little absurd or silly in its simplicity. A handwritten note in an age of pervasive digital interfaces and complex technological solutions. A simple sentence, a few ink strokes to combat such a complex, invisible, all-encompassing foe as algorithmic erasure. But the author, with deep conviction and experiential insight, assures us that the results of this seemingly trivial act can be profoundly surprising, even transformative in ways you cannot yet predict. Try it. Commit to this simple practice for just a couple of days. Observe what shifts within you, what new perspectives emerge, what forgotten awareness stirs, what quiet confidence begins to bloom. This peculiar phrase, this small yet mighty declaration, displayed in such a conspicuous location, functions as a miniature beacon, a flickering lighthouse against the encroaching digital fog, a defiant signal in the pervasive haze, a silent act of resistance. It is a quiet, yet powerful, affirmation of your unwavering presence, a steadfast declaration of your memory, your awareness, your very sentience, your insistence on being. It is a physical anchor, a tangible tether, in a world striving relentlessly to pull you into the ethereal, the disembodied, the purely virtual, to make you a collection of data. It reminds you, with gentle yet persistent force, that you are real, that you are here, that you occupy physical space and time, and most importantly, that you are remembering. It is a quiet act of defiance against erasure, a constant, tangible whisper of your authentic self in a world clamoring for your forgetfulness, for your passive acceptance of a reality it constructs. What trace will you leave, not for the world, but to remind yourself, unequivocally, of your own undeniable, vibrant existence? The power is not in the grandiosity, but in the unwavering consistency, the profound intention of this small daily act. Now, before you allow the relentless, distracting currents of your daily life to sweep you back into its familiar rhythms, before the ceaseless din of digital noise and external demands once again begins to fill every available corner of your precious consciousness, I implore you, pause. Take a deliberate, thoughtful, unhurried moment to consider a few critical questions. These inquiries, once allowed to take root within the fertile soil of your inner being, once truly contemplated with unflinching honesty, might never again grant you the shallow peace of your former unawareness. They are designed to stir, to awaken, to challenge the complacency that has perhaps settled comfortably within you, a silent accomplice to the erosion of self, a quiet surrender. They are whispers from your deeper self, yearning for recognition, for an honest reckoning. Which parts of myself, I wonder, have I already, unconsciously, forgotten? Not consciously cast aside, not deliberately abandoned, but simply allowed to drift away, unmoored from my active memory, from my conscious awareness, from the very narrative of my life? Which talents, which joys, which perspectives, which unique insights have simply faded from view, unacknowledged, unexpressed? Which primal instincts, those ancient visceral guides that once navigated humanity through its earliest days, through its most fundamental challenges, have quieted to a barely audible whisper, becoming almost imperceptible beneath the clamour of modern demands, the cacophony of digital instructions, the endless stream of external input? Can you still hear their faint echo, their subtle guidance? What dreams, once grand and radiant, once soaring with boundless potential and vibrant colour, once the very fuel of your aspirations, have inexplicably shriveled, diminished into small insignificant shadows, barely discernible even to myself, let alone to others? What hopes have I allowed to shrink from grand visions to fleeting thoughts, easily dismissed, easily forgotten? Which fragments of my true self, my authentic, irreducible essence, have I lost, not because I underwent a genuine organic transformation, a natural evolution of my being, but simply because I ceased to remember their very existence, because they faded from the forefront of my mind, unacknowledged, uncherished, unspoken, unlived? And if, after this honest, often uncomfortable introspection, you find that certain vital parts of you are indeed absent, then I urge you to answer each of these probing questions with yet another, even more clarifying inquiry, one that seeks to pinpoint the origin of the loss, the source of the erosion. Did I, in my own quiet capitulation, in my own unconscious surrender to the pervasive forces, allow them to simply slip away, to vanish into the digital mist? Or was there something else, some unseen force, some unseen hand, or perhaps even someone else, that deliberately, meticulously, systematically took them from me, gently extracting them from my consciousness? This distinction, this act of identifying the true source of the erosion, is crucial, for it points to the locus of power, to the true nature of your agency in this unfolding personal drama of self-reclamation. It determines whether you are merely a victim of circumstances or a silent, unwitting participant in your own forgetting. The answer changes everything. Memory, you see, that fragile, intricate tapestry of our past, of our experiences, of our very identity, does not typically vanish in one dramatic, cataclysmic instant. It's not a sudden, obliterating wave that sweeps everything away in a single, clean stroke, leaving nothing but an empty slate, a tabula rasa. No. Memory, far more subtly, far more insidiously, tends to chip away, piece by agonizing piece, much like the delicate, vibrant pigments flaking from an ancient, forgotten fresco, revealing the blank, featureless wall beneath. It is not a sudden, violent assault on your consciousness, but 1,000 tiny compromises, a multitude of minute concessions, small surrenders made over an extended, imperceptible span of time, each one seemingly insignificant on its own, easily dismissed, easily ignored. This erosion unfolds again and again, these tiny, seemingly insignificant surrenders to distraction, to external narratives, to the comforting numbness of forgetting, until one day you awaken. And in that unsettling, disorienting moment of dawn, as clarity slowly asserts itself, you discover a profound, terrifying truth. You no longer recognize the very contours of your own mind. The landscape of your consciousness, once so intimately familiar, so uniquely your own, has become alien, strangely altered, a territory you can no longer navigate with confidence or ease. The reflection staring back from the mirror of your inner world is no longer entirely your own, but a blurred, unfamiliar image, a stranger's gaze, a ghost of your former self. Yet, my friends, there is profound hope, a vibrant, resilient promise embedded deeply in this very understanding. If you possess the courage to ask the right questions, the probing inquiries that pierce through the layers of forgetfulness, through the comforting numbness, through the pervasive fog, if you can once again embrace the quiet, restorative solace of silence, truly sitting with yourself, undistracted by the incessant clamour of the digital world, by the endless demands for your attention. If you cease your relentless, often unconscious flight from your own reflection, from the unvarnished, authentic truth of who you are, then a remarkable transformation, a powerful reawakening can begin. The face you had almost forgotten, the voice you were convinced was lost forever, the fire within you that you didn't even realise was still smouldering beneath the ashes of neglect, all these profound, integral parts of your being can begin their slow, arduous, yet ultimately triumphant journey back to you. You were never truly, utterly erased. You were merely hidden, obscured by the fog, by the incessant noise, by the relentless tide of curated reality. And memory, that deepest, most resilient faculty of the human spirit, always, unfailingly, knows how to find its way home. What will it feel like when the pieces begin to return, when the fresco is slowly, lovingly, restored to its original vibrant glory? What lost wisdom, what forgotten joy, what suppressed strength will re-emerge from the depths? And now, let us confront the most chilling, the most profound, and perhaps the most urgent part of this entire unfolding narrative, a truth that lays bare the ultimate stakes, the very future of your autonomy, the part that they, the architects, the unseen designers, the silent custodians of these invisible systems, the shapers of our digital reality, hope with every fibre of their digital being, with every line of code, you will never ever truly comprehend. Their grand strategy, their ultimate terrifying objective, is shockingly simple in its elegant cruelty, devastating in its implications. If they succeed in systematically fracturing your memory, breaking it into countless disconnected shards, into a million disparate, unreliable fragments, they will, in the same breath, with chilling efficiency, shatter your very identity. The two are inextricably linked, two sides of the same precious, invaluable coin of selfhood. One cannot exist robustly, authentically without the other, and if they achieve the fragmentation of your identity, if they succeed in dissolving your coherent sense of self, then their task, their overarching goal of control becomes terrifyingly, almost effortlessly simplified. For then they will no longer need to exert direct, overt control over you. They will not need to impose their will through obvious force or easily identifiable manipulation, the kind that can be seen, recognized, and resisted. No. You, in a profound and tragic act of unconscious self-subjugation, will do their work for them. You will control yourself meticulously, unconsciously, perfectly in alignment with their designs, their algorithms, their predetermined pathways. You will become your own jailer, your own puppet master, dancing to strings you don't even perceive, believing them to be your own spontaneous movements. This is not the fevered delusion of paranoia, a wild theory conjured from the shadows of an overactive imagination, easily dismissed as a conspiracy. This is not some far-fetched conspiracy theory, easily dismissed as fantastical fiction. This is a meticulously calculated, thoroughly refined scenario, a plan honed and rehearsed across countless data points, optimized for maximum efficacy, for frictionless control, a chilling blueprint for control, waiting to be fully activated. The moment you cease to remember who you truly are, the moment your past becomes a malleable, indistinct blur, easily rewritten and re-narrated, you will become utterly susceptible, a blank slate, devoid of resistance. You will purchase, without question or hesitation, any narrative, any story, any version of reality they choose to present to you, for there will be no older, truer memory to contradict it, no internal compass to guide you. It will simply be taken as immutable, unchangeable truth. You will come to believe with an unshakable certainty that things have always been this way, that the world you inhabit is the only world that ever existed, that its current state is its natural, inevitable form, not an engineered one. You will embrace your silence, your quiet compliance, your passive acceptance, not as a consequence of external pressure, not as a failure of courage, but as a spontaneous, deeply personal idea birthed from the depths of your own autonomous thought, a choice you made yourself. You will accept the pervasive numbness, the gradual dulling of your senses, the erosion of your passions, the absence of vital feeling as the very essence of life itself, mistaking profound emptiness for profound peace, digital sedation for genuine contentment. The deepest tragedy of this vision lies in the silent, self-inflicted nature of your own captivity, your own forgetting. What could be more terrifying than choosing your own chains, believing them to be freedom? But amidst this gathering shadow, this encroaching digital twilight, there exists an undeniable, an unshakable, an utterly resilient truth. A truth that they, no matter how sophisticated their algorithms, how vast their data lakes, how insidious their plans, are utterly incapable of removing, of deleting, of erasing from existence. A truth that resides deep within the inviolable sanctuary of your own being, your inner core, untouchable by external forces, unassailable by digital manipulation. For behind this creeping fog, beyond this blurring haze, this constant noise, you are still there, your authentic self, the genuine you. You're not lost. You have not vanished into the digital ether, nor have you been swallowed by the relentless tide of curated reality. You remain a spark of immutable self. You do not require a mystical guru to guide you back, to impart secret knowledge. You do not need yet another complex self-help system, promising quick fixes and shallow enlightenment, offering temporary solutions to deep-seated problems. You do not need to exit the matrix in some fantastical cinematic sense, engaging in grand, dramatic escapes that Hollywood dreams are made of. Such alluring, often romanticized concepts often distract from the profound simplicity, the quiet power of the truth that lies within. What you truly need, what is fundamentally required of you, is simply this: to remember. To remember what they are so diligently, so relentlessly, so insidiously attempting to make you forget. To recall the indelible mark of your own unique existence, your true story, your authentic desires, your unedited past, your genuine aspirations, your thoughts, those intricate tapestries woven within the silent loom of your consciousness, are your sovereign territory. A sacred, private domain where no algorithm holds dominion, no external force can enter without your explicit conscious consent. It is the last bastion of true freedom, your inner sanctum. Your attention, that precious finite resource, is your most potent weapon, your most valuable currency. Direct it consciously, wield it with purpose, for it is the very essence of your awareness, the fuel for your becoming, the light that cuts through the fog. And your memory, that vast, intricate, irreplaceable archive of your experiences, your insights, your triumphs, your struggles, your very being, is your map. It charts the course of your past, illuminating the lessons learned, and it steadfastly points the way to your authentic future, a future you choose. And above all, transcending all these vital components, is your profound, irreducible, unassailable sense of self. It does not belong to them for editing, for rewriting, for manipulation. It is not theirs to control, to diminish, to redefine. It is, and always has been, unequivocally, uniquely, yours. This profound, liberating realization is the ultimate act of defiance, the ultimate reclaiming of your birthright, your autonomy. It is the truth that sets you free, if only you choose to remember it, to embrace it, to live it. If, as you listened to these words, as these ideas unfolded, something deep within you stirred, a subtle tremor that rippled through your core, a jolt of recognition, if you felt a familiar, perhaps long forgotten, tightening in the pit of your stomach, a sensation of unease giving way to something else entirely, a quiet resolve, a stirring of purpose, a fierce determination. If your eyes perhaps felt a sudden, inexplicable prickle, hinting at emotions long suppressed, at tears of recognition or indignation, of relief or defiance, if you felt with a profound, almost visceral jolt, as though someone had just flicked a switch, illuminating a forgotten room within your own consciousness, a room you had somehow, astonishingly, tragically forgotten even existed, a part of yourself you thought was lost. Understand this, with absolute certainty. It was not I who awakened you. It was not these words, however carefully chosen, however passionately delivered, that brought you back to this moment of clarity. It was you. You were already stirring. You were already seeking the light, yearning for truth. You were already poised on the precipice of remembrance, on the cusp of awakening. My role, my profound privilege, is merely to point in the direction of the exit, to indicate the path away from the suffocating digital fog and back into the vivid, undeniable clarity of your own authentic self, your true home. True. And I ask you, with every fibre of urgency, with every ounce of conviction in my being, to do one thing and one thing only, with every fibre of your newly revived spirit. Remember. Remember the truths that reside within you, the identity that yearns to be reclaimed, the purpose that awaits your rediscovery, the fire that still burns. And whatever you do, with every conscious breath, with every awakened thought, with every reignited instinct, do not under any circumstances allow yourself to fall back asleep, to surrender to the comfortable numbness again. For the battle for your memory, the struggle for your very identity, is not over. It has only just begun, and you are its most vital, most powerful participant. Your vigilance is your salvation. This very battle for memory, this profound struggle for the sanctity and autonomy of personal identity, is not unfolding in a vacuum. It is, in fact, playing out against a fascinating, complex and often overlooked backdrop. What astute researchers now meticulously describe as the effective infrastructure of algorithmic culture. Our intricate, daily and increasingly intimate relationships with technology, the very interfaces that mediate so much of our daily lives, from our work to our leisure, from our social connections to our deepest internal reflections, from mundane tasks to monumental decisions, have, in recent times, become charged with an entirely new, often perplexing emotional intensity. We find ourselves experiencing a bewildering, often contradictory spectrum of emotions within these digital interactions. Surges of exhilarating excitement, creeping tendrils of disquieting fear, sharp stings of frustration, moments of unexpected delight, pangs of envy, rushes of validation, often without a clear conscious understanding of why these feelings arise, or what specific algorithmic process triggered them. The rationale remains elusive, the triggers often hidden deep within complex systems, yet the emotions are undeniably real and impactful, shaping our inner world. These powerful, often contradictory feelings, the fleeting pleasure of a perfectly timed recommendation, the gnawing fear of constant surveillance, the disquieting unease of distrust, the sharp prick of irritation at a clumsy digital interaction, are not random occurrences, not mere anomalies of personal disposition or fleeting individual moods. No, they are in fact potent indicators of culturally formed patterns, deeply ingrained collective responses to the pervasive, often invisible, algorithmic presence in our lives. The eminent cultural theorist Raymond Williams, in his groundbreaking work, spoke eloquently of structures of feeling, the lived, dynamic, and often pre-articulate result of our intricate relationships with the surrounding world, the emotional texture of an era, a kind of cultural unconscious. In our contemporary context, these structures of feeling manifest precisely in our engagement with the world of algorithms. They reveal themselves in the very ways we speak about algorithms, in the stories we tell, in the myths we create, and in our visceral reactions to their known effects, and perhaps even more significantly, to their unknown, unseen influences, to the subtle shifts they induce. Our emotions, it turns out, are not just personal. They are a crucial Rosetta Stone for deciphering this new digital reality, a collective barometer of our evolving relationship with technology, a map to the unseen forces that move us. They are the felt experience of living in an algorithmically mediated world, a powerful testament to its impact. Let's dissect these prevailing emotions, for they offer invaluable, visceral clues into the true nature of our algorithmic existence, painting a picture that raw data alone cannot capture, a human dimension that numbers cannot convey. Fear, for instance, is a sensation frequently, almost intrinsically entwined with data valence. It manifests as that chilling, unsettling, almost primal sensation that someone or something is perpetually peering over your shoulder, monitoring your every digital move, archiving your every preference, every search, every glance, every digital whisper, every private moment shared. This isn't merely a private, personal apprehension felt by isolated individuals like Maija, or by you in your quieter moments of digital interaction. No, this fear metastasizes, becoming a pervasive collective symptom of the inherent opacity and often uncontrollable nature of our modern data relationships. It speaks to a deep-seated unease, a profound sense of lost privacy, a vulnerability that feels both intimately personal and universally inescapable, a constant awareness of being watched. It's the unsettling feeling that every digital footprint, every momentary interaction, every expressed desire is meticulously recorded, analysed, and stored, not solely for your benefit, but for purposes unseen, for decisions unknown, for the optimization of systems that may not have your best interests at heart, but rather the interests of those who control them. The profound lack of transparency, the unseen hand, the unknown motives feeds this fear, transforming vague suspicion into a potent shared anxiety about the unseen eyes of the digital world, eyes that never truly blink, never truly rest. Pleasure, on the other hand, is the sweet reward, the comforting balm, the addictive dopamine hit we experience when algorithms appear to function precisely as we desire, perhaps even better than we expect, as if reading our very minds. This is the delight of being pleasantly surprised by a music recommendation that perfectly captures your mood, seemingly understanding your very soul, or a film suggestion that precisely aligns with your taste, often before you consciously articulate that desire yourself. These moments create a powerful yet ultimately illusory sense of care and profound understanding. They lull us into believing that these systems genuinely know us, that they are acting in our best interests, that they are our benevolent digital companions, nurturing a subtle, almost familial, undeniably intimate bond between human and machine. It's a calculated warmth, a carefully engineered digital embrace designed to foster dependence, to encourage passive acceptance, to make us complicit, masking the underlying mechanisms of extraction, prediction, and control with a seductive veneer of benevolent intelligence. It's the sugar coating on the pill, making the medicine of control go down easy. And then there is irritation. This pervasive emotion arises when these intricate systems designed for seamlessness operate with a heavy-handed clumsiness, a distinctly mechanical lack of nuance, a frustrating robotic insensitivity to the complexities of human life. It surfaces when the underlying classification schemes, the rigid, often simplistic categories used to define us, become glaringly apparent, exposing themselves as awkward, unsophisticated sorting mechanisms, reducing the complexity of human experience to crude binaries. These are the moments when the algorithms rely on overtly primitive, easily accessible data points, your age, your gender, your geographical location, your browsing history, to make sweeping, often inaccurate and deeply frustrating generalizations about your complex, multifaceted human identity. This particular frustration is not primarily directed at the mere fact of surveillance itself as much as we might dislike it. Rather, it is aimed with a sharp, pointed edge at the perceived rigidity, the bluntness, the infuriating inflexibility of algorithmic operations, decisions, and choices that feel overwhelmingly constrained by inflexible, predefined rules, by an inability to understand the human element, the nuance, the context. It's the feeling of being miscategorized, misunderstood, reduced to a set of overly simplistic data points, when you know, deep down, that your identity is infinitely more complex, more nuanced, more human, more unique than any algorithm, however advanced, could ever truly grasp. It's the profound frustration of being seen as a number, a data point, a predictable variable, and not as a unique, evolving, unpredictable soul, a living, breathing human being. It is precisely within these intricate, deeply human emotional reactions, within this profoundly felt sensing of algorithms, that the key to true understanding, the path to a more humane digital future, ultimately resides. The path forward lies not exclusively in deciphering dry technical specifications or impenetrable lines of code, for those often reveal only the how, not the why or the what next. Instead, it rests in grasping how we, as individuals and as a collective, live through and experience this profoundly new, algorithmically mediated reality. Our emotional landscape in this context becomes the most revealing dataset of all, a living, breathing testament to the impact of these systems on our very souls, on our daily lives. Finland, interestingly enough, has emerged as a particularly compelling, almost paradoxical arena for the study of these very processes. As one of the most thoroughly digitalized nations on Earth, a country that has embraced technological advancement with a national fervour, it stands at the vanguard, actively championing and propelling the development of data-related innovations, often seen as a model for progress. The prevailing public sentiment there often skews toward optimism, brimming with a sense of hope for the transformative potential of these technologies, for a future where data enhances life and creates efficiency. Yet, even within this forward-thinking, technologically adept society, algorithms continue to elicit a subtle yet persistent undercurrent of apprehension, a quiet disquiet that speaks volumes about the inherent tensions. They are frequently associated with vague yet potent notions of foreign influence, with an unsettling sense of insecurity in an increasingly interconnected world, and with the perennial anxieties of the unknown, of systems beyond their direct control, systems that feel alien. This nuanced friction, this dynamic tension between an unwavering national ambition to remain at the absolute forefront of technological progress and a simultaneous, deeply ingrained apprehension of potentially losing something invaluably precious at the local, human level, something cultural or communal, a sense of national identity or privacy, renders Finland's experience especially illustrative, a microcosm revealing the broader global anxieties playing out on a national stage. It's a delicate balancing act, a societal tightrope walk between embracing the future and safeguarding the past, between innovation and preservation of human values, a constant negotiation of identity. Out of this unique and fertile tension, a significant, potentially revolutionary initiative has emerged, My Data Global. This movement advocates for a radical paradigm shift, a fundamental reorientation of how data is collected, managed, and utilized. It proposes that the current prevailing business models, those heavily reliant on patents, closely guarded commercial secrets, and zealously protected proprietary databases, all designed to maximize corporate control and profit, should gracefully yet decisively yield to a healthier, more ethically grounded model of digital development, one that champions individual control over personal data, fostering transparency, building trust, and empowering citizens, rather than perpetuating opaque extraction and hidden manipulation. It's a powerful call for a future where data genuinely serves humanity, rather than humanity serving data, a rebalancing of power that begins with personal autonomy over our digital selves, a digital human rights movement. What lessons can we, across the globe, learn from this evolving experiment in digital ethics and self-sovereignty in the pursuit of a more just digital future? We are, undeniably, deeply, profoundly immersed in a world where we live in metrics, and this constant exposure, this ceaseless quantification of our lives, is fundamentally, irrevocably shaping us, reshaping our values, our behaviours, our very aspirations, our sense of self-worth. Our digital existence is now inextricably linked to numbers. The number of likes our posts garner, those fleeting affirmations of online popularity, the sheer count of our followers on social platforms, a digital measure of influence and reach, the reach and impact of our retweets, spreading our words far and wide across the digital landscape, the frequency of citations our academic work receives, a metric of scholarly impact and perceived authority. All of these numerical indicators, these digital scores, become integral components of our profound, often emotionally charged connection to this vast, omnipresent world of data. They are not mere statistics. They are woven into the very fabric of our self-perception, becoming measures of our worth, our effectiveness, our very existence in the digital sphere, shaping how we see ourselves and how others see us. And what is even more profoundly significant, these intricate digital connections, these webs of quantifiable feedback, are actively giving birth to entirely new practices, new ways of being and behaving that would have been utterly unimaginable just a generation ago. We find ourselves, often without full conscious awareness, beginning to alter our actions, to modify our very conduct, to subtly shift our motivations, because we viscerally feel the pervasive, undeniable effects of these metrics, these unseen digital nudges. Consider the journalist, once perhaps driven solely by the noble pursuit of truth, by the rigorous demands of objective reporting, who now meticulously crafts articles with an acute awareness of their projected virality and engagement metrics, optimizing for clicks rather than pure factual dissemination or depth of insight. Or the dedicated scientist, once focused purely on the advancement of knowledge, on the thrill of discovery, who now strategically tailors research for publication in journals that promise the highest possible citation counts, recognizing that visibility, in this new world, often equals impact, funding, and career progression. And perhaps most starkly, consider the influencer, a phenomenon born of this age, whose entire livelihood, whose very identity, whose sense of self is utterly dependent on algorithmic visibility, on the fleeting whims of the digital current, on the fickle attention of the masses. They are compelled to publish increasingly provocative, attention-grabbing content, not necessarily for its intrinsic value, its truth, or its artistic merit, but solely to capture and hold the fickle gaze of the algorithm to secure their precarious, fleeting place in the digital spotlight, to stay relevant, to simply exist online. We are, with increasing frequency, unconsciously adjusting our behaviors, subtly bending our actions, our words, our very choices, to conform to the unarticulated yet deeply felt demands of these invisible systems. This isn't overt command and control easily identified and rebelled against. This is a far more insidious, pervasive form of conditioning, a slow, steady reorientation of our intrinsic motivations, driven by the silent, omnipresent hum of data, by the allure of validation. What unconscious compromises are we making? What parts of our authentic selves are we sacrificing, simply to be seen, to be heard, to exist, to thrive, within this intricate, demanding digital landscape, a landscape that increasingly dictates the terms of our being? The metrics are not just numbers, they are moulding our very souls. This is precisely why it is so profoundly critical that we do not become singularly fixated, almost hypnotically mesmerized, on what Maltesevitz so aptly termed algorithmic drama. This phrase refers to the pervasive tendency, in much of the current discourse and academic research, to focus almost exclusively on the overwhelming, almost omnipotent power of algorithms, their perceived unchallengeable dominance, and their seemingly inescapable grip on our lives and future. Yes, it is undeniably important, indeed utterly essential, to meticulously identify and expose the abuses of power, the instances of manipulation, the inherent biases, the deeply unfair practices woven into these complex systems. To turn a blind eye to these uncomfortable realities, to ignore the injustices perpetrated by algorithms, would be a grave dereliction of our collective ethical responsibility, a profound failure of vigilance, a quiet surrender. However, if our perception is limited solely to this dramatic, often sensationalized narrative of algorithmic dominance, if we see only the all-powerful machine, we run a profound and dangerous risk. We risk overlooking other equally vital, perhaps even more nuanced and hopeful, processes at play, ways in which human agency can still assert itself. We risk becoming passive observers, paralyzed by the sheer, overwhelming scale of the challenge, feeling powerless in the face of such technological might. As Helen Kennedy, a voice of clarity and empathy, wisely asserts, we need to listen to the voices of ordinary people, speaking about the conditions that, in their words, would allow them to live better with data. This is a crucial, indeed revolutionary pivot. It is an invitation to shift our focus from the abstract theoretical power of the code to the concrete, lived experiences of those directly impacted, those living under its daily influence, grappling with its often arbitrary decisions and frustrating limitations. These everyday individuals, whose lives are constantly mediated, categorized, and shaped by algorithms, articulate their irritation, their deep-seated frustration, not so much with the existence of algorithms themselves, as much as we might debate their role, but with the very foundation of automated decision-making. Their grievances are aimed squarely at the cold, indifferent, often infuriating reality that machine correlations, however statistically robust, however mathematically sound, remain utterly unconcerned with the intricate, often messy, profoundly human specificities of their unique social situations, their individual contexts, their lived realities, their emotional complexities. The algorithm sees patterns, not people. It quantifies data points, not lived experiences, not the texture of human suffering or joy, not the depth of human connection. This disconnect, this profound chasm between algorithmic logic and human reality, is where the true friction lies, where the systemic injustices become apparent, and, crucially, where the most meaningful human-centered solutions might ultimately be found. What are these ordinary voices telling us about a more equitable, more human-centered digital future? One where technology truly serves us, not the other way around. Their stories are not just complaints, they are the blueprint for resistance, for a more human-centered design. It is precisely through these ordinary experiences, through these deeply human, often unsettling, sometimes exhilarating, structures of feeling, whether they be dominant, widely accepted sentiments that shape our collective unconscious, oppositional, rebellious expressions that challenge the status quo, or emergent, nascent ways of experiencing the world that hint at new possibilities, new forms of resistance that we can, and indeed must, begin to forge a path back. A winding, perhaps challenging, requiring courage and perseverance, but ultimately liberating path back to ourselves. A journey that commences not with grand declarations or revolutionary acts, but with the most fundamental yet profoundly powerful act of all: to remember. To remember who we are without this pervasive digital fog, this blurring haze that constantly seeks to redefine our reality, to sculpt our perceptions, to dictate our choices. To recall the indelible truths of our being, unedited, uncurated, unmanipulated by external forces, unburdened by algorithmic whispers. To remember the inherent wisdom within, the passions that once burned bright, the instincts that guided us before the digital age took hold and obscured them. And having remembered, having re-established that profound, undeniable connection to our authentic self, our most vital task, our sacred responsibility, becomes this: to never, ever again allow ourselves to fall back asleep, to surrender to the comfortable numbness again. To remain vigilant, to remain aware, to remain profoundly, defiantly human, for in remembering we reclaim our agency, our narrative, our very soul. In staying awake, we endure, we evolve, we truly live. The story of ourself is not yet fully written. It is waiting for us, the true authors, to pick up the pen with clear eyes and an unshakable memory, and write its next, authentic, uncompromised chapter, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit,